She walked into her home with a soft smile and a small gift bag in her hand, ready to surprise the man she loved. But the moment she stepped inside, her breath stopped. Her billionaire husband was on their sofa. Another woman was in his arms. And the world Selina trusted fell apart without a single sound. Have you ever walked into a room and felt your heart break before anyone spoke? Have you ever trusted someone so much you believed they would never hurt you? Have you ever wondered how fast a perfect life can collapse? If you have, then you already understand the first truth of this story. Love breaks in quiet ways, and sometimes the hardest part is the silence that follows. Before we go deeper, welcome back to Mr. Charles Stories, where we share real, emotional stories that teach us about life, choices, and the cost of forgetting what matters. If you enjoy stories that open your heart and make you reflect on relationships, strength, and healing, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories to you. Selina Dre never imagined her life would take such a sharp turn. 4 years ago, she married Corvin Hale, a man known for sharp suits, long hours, and a drive that built an empire from a single laptop. To the world, Corvin was impressive. To Selina, he was the man who melted every sharp line the moment she walked into the room. He softened around her. He pulled her close without asking. He kissed her shoulder each morning. He told her she helped him breathe when work weighed him down. Their friends envied their bond. People called them the couple that looked built on trust. And for a long time, they were. They met in a small cafe on a quiet morning. Selina spilled warm tea on his shirt, panicked, and tried to clean it with napkins while apologizing over and over. Corvin smiled through all of it. He watched her small, nervous hands. Something inside him shifted, and he asked her to lunch. That lunch turned into long walks. Those walks turned into confessions. Those confessions turned into love. Their relationship grew slow, steady, and sweet. Selina held his heart before his success ever reached the world. Corvin loved her honesty before her beauty. Their love worked because it felt simple. It felt honest. It felt equal. But simple things crack when the pressure grows. Corvin's company expanded fast. His name began to appear on business pages. Meetings filled his mornings. Calls filled his nights. Weekends disappeared. Dinner turned cold before he reached home. Selina didn't complain. She loved him. She believed in him. She hoped the distance was temporary. But even quiet hearts break when they feel unseen. Corvin stopped looking at her the way he used to. He rushed their time together. He forgot their soft morning routine. He forgot the small traditions that held them close. Selina stayed patient, but her eyes carried the weight of loneliness. When their 4th anniversary approached, she planned a sweet weekend away in Vermont, hoping to revive what felt lost. She booked a small cabin, packed early, and wrote him a note she hoped would melt whatever wall stood between them. She didn't know a bigger break was waiting for her, not in Vermont, but in her own living room, on her own sofa, with another woman in her husband's arms. And that moment, the moment she returned a day early, would test everything. Her strength, her love, and the future she always thought was secure. Selina had no idea that her soft, hopeful smile at the door would fade into something she could not name. At that time, 4 years into the marriage, she still believed effort could fix distance. She believed love could steady anything. She believed Corvin, despite his late nights and long days, still held the same warmth he once had. But small cracks grow faster than people notice. Corvin changed without meaning to. His company consumed him. His attention shifted from slow walks with Selina to endless calls that never stopped. His tone changed, his focus narrowed, and his steps grew heavier each day. Selina felt it. She felt each small moment he missed. She felt their dinners shrink into silence. She felt his hugs grow shorter. She felt intimacy turn into quick touches that lacked the emotion they once shared. But she told herself he was tired, not distant. She told herself he needed time. She told herself marriages had seasons, and she still loved him. She still believed the man she met in that small cafe was inside him somewhere. The man who smiled when tea spilled on his shirt. The man who listened to her talk about her childhood for hours without checking his phone. The man who held her close on cold nights and whispered that she grounded him. That man felt far away now. But she held on. She held on when he came home late 3 nights in a row. She held on when he forgot their weekly movie night. She held on when he rushed through their moments with tired eyes. She held on because she loved him. And she believed love deserved effort. That effort is what made her plan the Vermont trip. The same place they exchanged vows with snow outside and quiet promises between them. She hoped returning to that place would remind them of their beginning. She packed early. She planned snacks for the drive. She bought him a small gift. She wrote him a note to tell him why she chose Vermont again. She waited for him to smile the way he once did. He didn't. He said he had meetings. He told her to fly ahead and he would join her the next day. He kissed her cheek with a rushed softness, the kind that felt like a habit, not a feeling. Selena didn't see the warning signs. She only saw the man she loved, the man she wanted to reconnect with. She boarded her flight with hope in her chest. But halfway through, when the pilot said the storm was too strong for Vermont, her stomach tightened. The flight turned back to New York. She tried calling Corvin. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. She told herself he was busy. She told herself she would surprise him instead. In the cab ride home, she rehearsed what she would say. She thought about hugging him from behind, pressing her cheek to his back, and letting him know she missed him. She pictured his smile. But the moment she unlocked the door, everything changed. She stepped inside. The home was quiet, warm, peaceful. She smiled. She held the gift bag close. Then she saw them. Riona Vale, the new executive at his firm, bold, confident, always by his team. Selena noticed her before, but she never imagined this. Riona was sitting beside Corvin. Her head rested on his shoulder. His hand was on her waist. Their bodies close, too close for comfort, too close for excuses. Selena felt her chest tighten. Her breath left her. Her heart broke in a clean, silent snap. She didn't scream. She didn't shout. She didn't throw the gift bag. She didn't even cry. She stood still, frozen, watching everything she built fall apart without noise. Corvin's eyes widened when he saw her. He jumped up as if the room sparked under him. Riona moved back fast. But Selena didn't stay long enough to hear a single word. She turned. She walked out. She closed the door behind her. Only after the door shut did her breath shake. Only then did the pain settle heavy in her chest. Only then did she feel the weight of what she saw. Her marriage broke in silence. Her heart cracked without a sound. Her trust fell apart without a fight. And this moment, this quiet, shattering moment, would change everything that came next. Selena stepped out into the cold hallway with her heart pounding so hard she felt it in her throat. The silence behind the closed door felt heavier than any shout she could have heard. A part of her still waited for Corvin to run after her, to say something, to hold her, to explain. But the door stayed shut. She walked down the stairs with stiff steps, her hands shaking around the small gift bag she brought home, the one she never got the chance to give him. She reached the street, stopped, and let out a slow breath that didn't feel real. Her mind kept replaying the scene. Riona's head on his shoulder, his hand on her waist. The distance that never made sense before, now fit like a cruel answer. She stood by the curb, unsure of where to go. It felt wrong to get in a cab. It felt wrong to go back inside. It felt wrong to call anyone. She was caught in between heartbreak and shock, unable to process the quiet disaster that just unfolded. A cab slowed near her, but she waved it away. She needed stillness. She needed time. Her steps felt heavy as she walked toward the small hotel near the river, a place she knew was quiet enough to let her breathe. Inside her room, she sat on the edge of the bed and placed the gift bag beside her. She didn't open it. She didn't move. She stared at the wall until everything blurred. Hours passed, without her noticing. She tried closing her eyes, but sleep would not come. Her chest hurt. Her hands trembled. Her mind kept asking the same question. How did we get here? She pulled her knees close and lowered her head, but no tears came. The pain felt too deep for tears. It felt raw and quiet, the kind that crawls into the bones and stays there. In the morning, she packed her bag with slow, tired movements. She didn't rush. She didn't think. She simply moved because she needed to. She booked a ride to Vermont. If she couldn't bring Corvin there, she would go alone. She needed space more than anything. She needed air. The drive felt long. The trees passing by looked distant, like she was watching the world from underwater. Her mind drifted back to their early years. Back to the time Corvin held her close with gentle hands. Back to the mornings he kissed her shoulder before she woke up. Back to the way he once said, her voice kept him steady. Those memories hurt more than the scene on the sofa. She reached the small cabin and let herself inside. The place felt warm but empty. She sat by the window and opened the curtains. Snow began to fall, soft and steady. She watched it with a blank stare, the quiet cold matching the heaviness inside her. Her phone lit up. Corvin. She turned it face down. It lit up again, and again, and again. 30 missed calls by the time evening arrived. She muted the phone. Her pain was louder than any message he could send. That night, she sat alone by the window. She didn't sleep. Her chest felt tight, her breath shallow. She remembered the way he once held her like she mattered. She remembered the way he looked at her during their early dates. She remembered the warmth in his eyes before ambition took him away piece by piece. She wondered if she ever truly had all of him, or if she held the version of him that existed before the world claimed the rest. While she stared at the falling snow, Corvin spent the night pacing through their home. His steps were frantic. His thoughts collided in his head. He replayed the moment she walked in. Her stillness, the pain in her eyes, the way she left without a word. He picked up his phone. He typed. He erased. He typed again. He told himself he didn't cheat. Riona leaned on him during a long conversation. He didn't move away fast enough. It looked wrong. It felt wrong. It was wrong. But he didn't know how to say that without sounding like he was begging for forgiveness before she even had time to process. He kept telling himself she deserved better than excuses. But he also feared she would never give him a chance to show the truth. He went to bed around dawn. He didn't sleep. The pillow beside him felt too empty. Selina stayed in Vermont for 2 days. She walked around the quiet streets, sat by the frozen lake, and let her thoughts settle. She didn't cry until the 3rd morning. The tears came slow and quiet, the kind that fall without warning. She buried her face in her hands and let herself feel the weight she had been holding since she walked into her living room. Not even when she left home did she cry. But now, in the silence of the cabin, she let the pain break through. By the time she returned to New York, she didn't go home. She stayed with her cousin. She needed space more than answers. She needed to breathe without the shadow of the sofa scene clinging to her. Corvin tried to see her. She didn't come out. He tried calling again. She didn't answer. He messaged her every day. She didn't respond. She needed time. He needed clarity. Both were hurting in different ways. The truth was simple. He feared losing her. She feared losing herself. Days later, Selina sat on the small balcony at her cousin's apartment. She wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and watched the city lights. Her cousin sat beside her. "You don't have to decide anything now," her cousin said gently. Selina nodded, but didn't speak. Her cousin added, "Pain makes things look sharp. Give yourself time. When the hurt settles, your heart will tell you what to do." Selina whispered, "I loved him, and he hurt me without saying a word." Her cousin rested a hand on her arm. "You're allowed to step back. You're allowed to protect yourself." That night, Selina lay in bed and thought about Corvin's messages. "I miss you. I'm sorry. Please talk to me. I love you." His words looked sincere, but sincerity didn't fix trust by itself. A single moment can change a marriage, but the recovery would take more than regret. 10 days after the heartbreak, Selina agreed to meet him at the small cafe where they first met. She didn't know what she would say. She didn't know what he would say. But she knew she needed to face the moment and hear his heart. Not his excuses, not his panic, his real truth. She sat in the same corner table where she once spilled tea on him. She held her hands together to steady her breath. When Corvin walked in, the room shifted. He looked tired. He looked anxious. He looked like a man afraid of losing the one thing he never meant to hurt. He walked toward her with slow steps. She didn't stand. He didn't smile. He sat across from her, hands shaking. Before he could speak, she said softly, "You hurt me." Her voice was steady, even though her heart shook. Corvin swallowed hard. "I didn't do anything with her," he said. "But I let her get close. And that alone hurt you." Selina looked at him with tired eyes. She nodded slowly. She didn't reach for him. She didn't soften. He reached for her hand. She pulled back gently. The space between them felt louder than words. He whispered, "Do you still love me?" She closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them and said, "I do, but love didn't protect me from your choices." Those words hit him deeper than any shout, because they were true, and because they held the weight of everything they both would need to heal. Selina left the cafe with slow steps. The talk with Corvin stayed heavy on her mind. She didn't scream at him. She didn't collapse into his arms. She didn't accept or reject him. She spoke the truth, and the truth was enough to shake them both. Corvin watched her walk out. He stayed seated, unable to move for a minute. Her words echoed in his head. "Love didn't protect me from your choices." He placed both hands on the table and lowered his head. He felt the weight of his mistakes in a way that didn't need shouting to pierce him. He knew problems weren't solved in one meeting. He knew trust didn't return quickly. But he also knew he had one chance now. One chance to show her with his actions that he understood the hurt he caused. Selina reached her cousin's apartment and walked to her room. She sat on the edge of the bed and closed her eyes. The cafe talk stayed fresh in her mind. She remembered the way Corvin looked at her, not as a CEO, not as a man trying to defend himself, but as someone who was afraid of losing the person who held his heart. She didn't forgive him in that moment. But something inside her softened just enough to allow the next step. Observation. She needed to watch him. She needed to see if his change was real. Over the next few days, Corvin kept his movements simple. He didn't pressure her. He didn't push. He didn't send long messages. Instead, he sent short ones that reflected intentional effort. "I'm thinking about you. I'm here when you're ready. Have a peaceful day." Selina didn't reply. Not because she wanted to punish him, but because she needed clarity in her own heart before she opened any door. Corvin shifted his work life without telling her. He cancelled late-night meetings. He turned off his phone after 7. He gave tasks to his team. He finished early when he could. He went home to an empty place and felt the quiet sting him. He sat on their sofa, the same one that broke her trust, and stared at his hands. He wished he had pushed Riona away faster. He wished he had kept boundaries firmer. He wished he had protected Selina from the pain he caused. It wasn't cheating, but it felt like betrayal to her heart. And that alone mattered more than the truth he tried to hold. Meanwhile, Selina focused on her days with slow care. She helped her cousin with small tasks around the apartment. She worked from her laptop at the kitchen counter. She cooked simple meals. She walked around the block in the evenings to clear her mind. But every quiet moment was a reminder of the life she once shared with Corvin. The tea he made her before work. The way he kissed her shoulder each morning. The way he waited by the door on Fridays for their dinner nights. The small routines that once gave her comfort. Those memories still held value, even if the present held pain. One evening, her cousin found Selina sitting on the edge of the couch, staring at her phone. "You don't have to rush anything," her cousin said. Selina nodded. "I know." "What are you thinking about?" Selina hesitated, then said, "I just want to feel safe again. Not perfect, not back to where we were. Just safe." "That's fair," her cousin replied softly. Safety is the foundation for everything else. Selina breathed in slowly. She knew that her next steps had to come from clarity, not fear. She didn't want to go back too early. And she didn't want to walk away before she understood whether Corvin was willing to rebuild trust brick by brick. Over the next week, Corvin continued showing effort quietly. He didn't tell her he was changing. He showed it. He arrived home much earlier each day. He cooked simple meals for himself, something he rarely did. He cleaned the kitchen. He organized his work files. He sat on the balcony with a cup of warm tea and stared into the city. He looked like a man who was slowly understanding the cost of neglect. One night, Corvin sat alone at the dining table. He placed his phone in front of him and stared at Selina's name. He wanted to call. He wanted to hear her voice. But he also knew forcing her to speak before she was ready would push her further away. Instead, he typed one message. "I miss you. I'm here, even when you need space." He sent it and set the phone down. Then he leaned back in the chair and closed his eyes. He didn't feel like the CEO the world admired. He felt like a man trying to fix something he broke with his own hands. The next morning, Selina woke up and saw his message. She didn't reply. But for the first time, she didn't feel tightness in her chest when she read it. She felt something closer to calm. She walked to the balcony, wrapped her arms around herself, and looked out at the street. People walked with purpose. Cars passed in steady lines. Life moved with or without her answers. But the quiet in her heart began shifting. She whispered to herself, one step at a time. Later that afternoon, she texted Corvin 4 words. "I need more time." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't rejection. It was honesty. Corvin stared at the text when it popped up. He closed his eyes and breathed out a long breath. For the first time in weeks, he felt a small lift in his chest. She didn't shut the door. She didn't cut him off. She didn't leave the marriage behind. She needed time. And that meant there was space to heal. He replied, "Take everything you need." Selina saw the message but didn't answer. She needed the silence. She needed the distance. She needed to rebuild herself before she decided if she could rebuild with him. A few days later, Corvin made a choice he had avoided for years. He stepped away from his office early and took a long walk through the city. He passed small shops. He passed couples holding hands. He passed a park they once visited together during their first year of dating. He stopped there. He sat on the bench they once used. He remembered the day Selina told him she felt safe with him, the way she leaned on his shoulder, the way he held her hand with quiet pride. He whispered to himself, "I lost that version of me, but she deserves to see him again." He knew he couldn't erase the pain he caused, but he could build something better from the ground up. That night, he cooked a simple dinner again. He sat alone. He ate quietly, and for the first time, he admitted to himself, "I took her for granted." Selina spent the evening reading through old messages he sent her during their early years. The sweet ones, the consistent ones, the ones filled with effort, not pressure. She held the phone close to her chest, then placed it down. She wasn't the same woman she was then, and Corvin wasn't the same man. The question was simple: could they find each other again in this new place? The answer wasn't clear yet, but the story was moving toward a point where both of them needed to decide what mattered more, pride or healing. Days passed, and something inside Selina began to settle. The raw sting faded into a steady ache, and that steady ache made room for clearer thoughts. She still felt hurt, but she no longer felt lost in it. She was beginning to understand where her heart stood. Not ready, not healed, but willing to look toward what came next. She woke early one morning, stepped onto her cousin's small balcony, and felt the cool breeze slide across her skin. For the first time in weeks, she breathed without her chest tightening. She wrapped her arms around herself and whispered, "One day at a time." Inside the apartment, her cousin watched her from the kitchen doorway. "You look lighter today," her cousin said. Selina turned slightly. "Maybe, did something change?" "Yes," Selina said quietly. "Me." Her cousin smiled. That's where healing starts. Selina nodded and looked toward the sky. She wasn't rushing. She wasn't avoiding. She was taking the steps she needed, and that realization gave her steady ground beneath her feet. Later that morning, Selina made herself tea and sat by the window. She scrolled through her phone, pausing at Corvin's short messages. She didn't open them, but she didn't avoid them either. She held the phone for a long moment, then placed it down without responding. She wasn't ready, and that was okay. Across the city, Corvin sat at his office desk with his phone in front of him. He didn't touch it. He didn't call her. He didn't send anything new. He respected her need for space. But each quiet day felt like a reminder of what he risked losing. His assistant stepped into the office. "The team is waiting for you," she said. Corvin nodded but didn't stand yet. He stared at the framed photo on his desk. Him and Selina on their second anniversary. She leaned into him in the picture, smiling with warmth that reached her eyes. He remembered everything about that day. The meal they cooked together. The way she hugged him from behind while he chopped vegetables. The way he whispered that she was the best part of his life. He touched the frame and whispered, "I want to earn that smile back." He stood and headed to the meeting room. But even during the meeting, he felt pulled towards Selina. His thoughts kept drifting. He was present in his work, but not buried in it. He wasn't losing himself in long hours anymore. He wasn't disappearing behind his title. He was trying to rebuild his life with balance, not excuses. After the meeting, he returned to his office and sat in silence. He wasn't waiting for Selina to fix anything. He wasn't expecting her to change her mind suddenly. He was simply learning how to show up without being asked. That afternoon, he cooked dinner again. He ate alone again. He cleaned the kitchen again. But he did it with quiet intention. Not to impress her, not to prove something, but to rediscover the man he was before success took all his time. Later that night, he went to bed early. He stared at the empty space beside him and wondered how long it would take for her to come home. He didn't know the answer. He only knew he would wait as long as it took. Across town, Selina sat on the couch with her cousin. They watched a light show, something simple to pass the evening. But Selina wasn't fully focused on the screen. Her thoughts drifted toward Corvin's face at the cafe, the nerves in his hands, the worry in his eyes, the way his voice trembled when he admitted his fault. She remembered the man she married. She remembered the weight of their vows. She remembered the years they spent intertwined. She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "I still love him." The words weren't loud. They weren't for anyone else. They were for her own heart, which needed to hear the truth without fear. Her cousin glanced at her. "You don't have to stop loving him to protect your peace. The two can exist together." Selina opened her eyes slightly. "I'm trying to understand what love looks like after heartbreak. It looks like time. It looks like honesty. It looks like watching actions match words," her cousin said. Selina nodded slowly. "Then I'll watch." Meanwhile, Corvin walked to the balcony of their home. He looked over the city and remembered the early days when they would sit together. Outside, wrapped in a blanket, talking about dreams they never rushed to reach. He remembered her laughter. He remembered her touch. He remembered how easy everything once felt. He whispered into the night, "I'm not giving up." The next day, something shifted. Selina woke up and made tea again. But this time, she placed her phone on the table and stared at it for a long moment. Her cousin noticed. "Thinking of calling?" her cousin asked. "No," Selina said softly. "But I'm thinking of letting him see that I'm open to talking again." Her cousin nodded. Small steps. Selina typed one message. "Can we meet again? Somewhere quiet?" She stared at the screen for a long moment before pressing send. Corvin was in his office when the message came through. His breath caught. His heart jumped. He read the message twice. He didn't respond immediately. He let the emotion settle so he wouldn't reply with panic or desperation. Then he typed, "Yes, anytime you're ready. Choose the place." Selina sent him the name of a small garden near the old library. A place calm enough for honest conversations, open enough for fresh air, and quiet enough to let hearts speak without pressure. They met in the afternoon. Selina arrived first. She sat on a bench under a tall tree, her fingers tapping slightly against her knee. She felt nervous, but steady. Corvin arrived moments later. He walked toward her with slow steps, giving her space. He didn't sit too close. He didn't reach for her. He respected the boundaries she still held. "Thank you for coming," he said gently. Selina nodded. "I needed clarity." He waited for her to continue. She took a breath. "I'm not ready to come home, but I'm ready to understand what comes next." Corvin nodded slowly. "I'll follow your pace. I need actions," she said. "Not promises. Actions that show you see where things went wrong." "You'll have them," he replied. They didn't hold hands. They didn't hug. They didn't touch. But the quiet between them held progress instead of pain. Selina studied him for a long moment. "I'm not making any decision now." "I know," he said. "I'm not expecting one." They talked for almost an hour. Soft truths, honest words, slow breaths, small steps. By the end of the conversation, Selina stood. "I'm willing to try," she said. "But trying doesn't mean rushing." Corvin nodded. "I'll be here. No pressure, no pushing." Selina walked away, and Corvin stayed seated on the bench until she was out of sight. His eyes watered, not from relief, not from triumph, but from gratitude. She didn't give up on him, and now he couldn't give up on himself. That evening, Selina returned to her cousin's apartment and sat in her room. She felt lighter, not healed, but hopeful. Corvin returned home, cooked again, and for the first time smiled at the quiet instead of fighting it. The shift had begun, and small shifts, when nurtured, grow into second chances. Before we continue, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt distance growing in a relationship and didn't know how to hold on? Your voice matters here, and someone reading your comment may find strength in your story. If this chapter touched you, like the video and subscribe so you never miss the next part. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories to this channel. Selina woke up the next morning with a clearer mind than she had in weeks. The talk in the garden stayed with her. It didn't erase the pain, but it softened the sharp edge of it. She felt something steady forming inside her, something that didn't feel like sadness or anger. It felt like control. For the first time since the heartbreak, she felt like she had her life back in her hands. She stepped into the kitchen where her cousin was preparing breakfast. "Morning," her cousin said with a soft smile. Selina returned the smile. "Morning. How are you feeling?" Selina poured herself tea and took a seat. Lighter. Did the talk help? Yes. We didn't solve anything. We didn't promise anything. But it helped. Her cousin nodded. "That's what you needed." Selina took a sip of her tea and let the warmth settle into her chest. The past few weeks had drained her, but now she felt the first signs of emotional strength returning. She wasn't healed, but she wasn't drowning anymore. Across town, Corvin sat at his office desk. His team admired his sharp focus, but none of them knew the storm he was carrying. He checked his calendar, cleared his evening schedule, and turned off notifications he once thought he couldn't live without. He opened his laptop and reviewed tasks he had once taken on alone. Slowly, he handed responsibilities to the people he hired for those exact roles. He was learning something new. Success didn't have to take every corner of his life. It didn't have to swallow his marriage. It didn't have to be the reason he lost the woman he loved. He looked at a photo of him and Selina, taken in their second year of marriage. She was leaning against him. He was holding her waist. They were smiling, and the smile reached their eyes. "I don't want to lose this," he whispered. For the rest of the morning, he focused on his work without letting it consume him. He finished early and made a choice. He wanted to show Selina he could be consistent. That evening, he texted her, "Hope your day was peaceful. If it's okay with you, I'd like us to walk together tomorrow. No pressure." Selina saw the message while folding her laundry. She stared at it for a few seconds before replying, "A short walk is fine." Corvin smiled for the first time in days. The next afternoon, they met outside a small park near her cousin's home. Selina wore a light sweater and simple jeans. Corvin arrived in a black jacket and soft eyes that held a mix of nerves and hope. He didn't reach for her hand. He didn't lean close. He let her lead the pace. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. Selina nodded. "Walking is easier than talking sometimes." He smiled gently. "Then we'll walk." They moved through the park, listening to the soft sounds of leaves shifting in the breeze. Selina didn't speak for the first few minutes. Corvin didn't rush her. Finally she said, "I didn't know how lost I felt until I stepped away." Corvin listened closely. "Stepping away gave me clarity too. I needed space to feel like myself again," Selina said. "You deserve that." She glanced at him. "I didn't step away to punish you." "I know. I stepped away because staying in the middle of the pain made it harder to think." Corvin let out a slow breath. "I understand, and I'm sorry you had to carry that alone." They walked in silence again for a moment. Then he added, "I didn't protect your heart. I didn't set boundaries. I let my work turn me into someone who forgot how to show up." Selina didn't respond right away. She watched a couple jogging past them. She looked at the sunlight through the trees. She let his words settle. She finally said, "I don't expect perfection, but I expect presence." Corvin stopped walking for a moment. "You will have that, not because I'm trying to fix things quickly, but because I'm learning how to be the man I should have been." Selina looked at him, searching his face. There was honesty there, not excuses, not panic, just steady truth. They continued walking. A few minutes later, Corvin said, "Can I ask you something?" Selina nodded. "What hurts you the most about that night? Seeing her or seeing me?" Selina took her time before answering. "Seeing you," she said quietly, "because I knew what we had before." Corvin lowered his head. "I failed you. I can't change that, but I will do everything I can to never let you feel that way again." Selina's voice stayed even. "Words don't fix trust." "I know," Corvin said. "That's why I'm focused on actions." They reached a bench near a small fountain and sat down. Selina didn't sit close. Corvin didn't move toward her. Selina took a deep breath and said, "Healing isn't a straight line." Corvin nodded. "I'm ready for the ups and downs. All of them." She looked ahead, watching the water ripple. "Do you want to try again?" Corvin asked softly. Selina's answer came slow and calm. "I want to explore us again, but not as if nothing happened, not as if we can jump back in. I want to see if we can build something new." Corvin felt a warm ache in his chest. "I would give anything to build something new with you." She didn't smile. She didn't reach for him. But she didn't walk away either. "I need to feel safe with you again," she said. "You will," he replied, without hesitation. They sat in silence again, but it wasn't heavy this time. It wasn't painful. It was a silence filled with slow possibility. When they finished the walk, Corvin walked her back to her cousin's building. At the door, he paused. "May I walk with you again tomorrow?" Selina thought for a moment. Then she nodded. "Tomorrow is fine." He smiled with relief. "Thank you." She opened the door, stepped inside, then turned slightly. "Corvin," she said. He looked at her. "Thank you for listening." His voice was soft. "I'll always listen now." She closed the door gently. Corvin walked back toward his car, and for the first time since the heartbreak, he felt a slow, real hope settle inside him. Not hope built on assumptions, not hope built on old memories, hope built on her willingness to take steps with him, even small ones. And Selina, standing inside the quiet hallway, placed a hand over her chest. Her heart didn't feel fixed, but it felt heard. And sometimes, being heard is the beginning of healing. Selina stood inside the hallway long after the door closed. She didn't move. She leaned her back against the wall and let the silence settle. The walk with Corvin stirred something deep inside her, something she didn't expect to feel so soon. Not forgiveness, not peace, but a small spark of trust trying to rise again. She placed a hand on her chest and breathed slowly. Her cousin stepped out of the kitchen and froze when she saw her expression. "How did it go?" her cousin asked. Selina lifted her head. "Better than I expected." That's good, her cousin said gently. Selina nodded, but her eyes looked distant, thoughtful. He listened. He didn't defend himself. He didn't rush me. He was just present. That's what you needed, her cousin said. Selina ran her fingers through her hair. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but today didn't hurt as much. That's progress, her cousin replied. Selina walked to her room, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at her hands. She remembered the way Corvin looked at her as they walked. Clear, focused, not distracted, not distant. She remembered the way he kept his hands to himself, giving her space without making her feel pushed away. She whispered to herself, one step at a time. Across the city, Corvin stood in his living room, still feeling the quiet joy of her nod at the end of their walk. He didn't celebrate or jump or cry. He simply stood there, letting the weight of gratitude settle on him. For the first time in weeks, he felt hope that didn't feel fragile. He walked to the sofa, the place where everything fell apart, and stood in front of it. He stared at the spot where Riona sat that night. The memory hit him with a sharp sting. He reached down, lifted the throw blanket Selina loved, and placed it over the back of the couch. He whispered, I'm going to make this right. That night, he showered early, cooked again, and sat on the balcony with warm tea. He thought about the woman he married, the woman he failed, the woman he still loved with every piece of him. He didn't know how long the road ahead would be, but he knew he would walk every inch of it. Selina arrived at the park again the next afternoon. The air felt cool. The sky carried soft light. She stood by a tree and waited. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't anxious. She was simply ready to observe. Corvin arrived with slow steps. He wore a simple shirt and jeans, not his usual corporate armor. He looked calmer, grounded, almost vulnerable. Hi, he said gently. Hi, Selina replied. They started walking again, this time along a different path with fewer people. Selina listened to the soft sound of leaves under their steps. Corvin asked, How was your morning? Quiet, Selina said. That's good, he replied. They walked in silence for a moment. Selina spoke first. I've been thinking. Corvin listened closely. About what? About how we reached this point, she said. Corvin nodded slowly. I think about it every day. It wasn't one moment, Selina said. It was many small ones. Missed nights, rushed mornings. Feeling like your world grew and mine stayed still. Corvin swallowed. You're right. I didn't need you to be perfect, Selina said. I needed you to show up. I didn't. I see that now, Corvin replied. They kept walking. Selina kept her arms crossed, not in anger, but in thought. You stopped asking how my day was, she said quietly. You stopped noticing when I felt tired. You stopped touching me the way you used to. You were there, but not present. Corvin felt the weight of each word. I'm sorry. Selina glanced at him. Sorry isn't the goal. Change is. Corvin nodded. I'm learning, and I'm unlearning too. What do you mean? Selina asked. I'm unlearning the idea that work should come first, he said. I'm unlearning the belief that success is measured by hours, not balance. I'm unlearning the habits that pulled me away from you. Selina didn't speak immediately. She let his words settle. They walked past a small pond. Ducks moved across the water. A few children ran along the path. It was peaceful. After a few steps, Selina said, Your life expanded. Mine stayed the same. I supported you. But at some point, I got lost in your rise. Corvin looked at her with soft guilt. I didn't see it. And I should have. Selina nodded. That's the hardest part. You didn't see me anymore. Corvin breathed deeply. I see you now. She held his gaze for a long moment, trying to read his sincerity. She saw honesty. She saw effort. She saw reality, not promises. They continued walking. After a few minutes, Corvin said, There's something I didn't tell you at the cafe. Selina waited. I've been going home early, he said. I've been turning my phone off after work. I've been taking time to be in my own space without burying myself in work. Selina nodded slowly. You're changing your habits. I'm trying to change my life, he corrected softly. Selina didn't smile, but her chest eased. That matters. They reached a spot with a wooden bench facing the trees. Selina stopped walking. Let's sit, she said. Corvin nodded and joined her, careful not to sit too close. Selina watched the trees move in the wind. After a moment, she said, There's still pain. I know, Corvin said. And fear, she added. I understand. And a part of me still feels numb. Corvin looked at his hands. I'll walk with you through all of it. Selina turned toward him slowly. Why? Corvin lifted his eyes. Because I love you, and because I finally understand what I risked by not showing up. Selina didn't look away. Love isn't enough without effort. I'm giving effort, Corvin said. Not to impress you, not to rush you, but to rebuild what I broke. Selina let out a slow breath. I see that. A quiet moment passed between them. Finally, Selina said, Can we take another walk tomorrow? Corvin's breath caught quietly. Yes, any time. She nodded and stood. I should go. He stood too. May I walk you back? She thought for a moment, then nodded. Yes. They walked toward her cousin's building with steady steps. No touching, no rushing, just presence. At the door, Selina said, Thank you. Corvin replied softly, Thank you for giving me a chance to try. She opened the door, stepped inside, and looked at him one last time before closing it. This time, the door closed gently, not painfully, and for the first time in weeks, both of them felt something new. Not heartbreak, not confusion, not fear. Hope, slow, steady hope, the kind that grows roots. The next few days brought a quiet rhythm between Selina and Corvin. They met in the park every afternoon. They walked without rush. They talked without pressure. They listened without trying to win or defend. Each walk built a thin layer of trust, small, fragile, but real. Selina's cousin noticed the difference. You're starting to breathe again, she said one morning. Selina wrapped her hands around a warm mug. I don't know where we'll end up, but I feel better seeing his effort. That's all you can ask for, her cousin replied. Selina stayed thoughtful. Effort mattered, but consistency mattered more. She wasn't ready to go home. She wasn't ready to restart their marriage, but she was ready to explore who they were becoming. Across town, Corvin checked his phone for the third time before leaving work. He didn't message first. He didn't push. He respected her lead. When she texted, I'm heading to the park now, he grabbed his jacket and walked out with steady steps. He arrived before her and waited under the same tree where they first met after the heartbreak. When she approached, he straightened a bit, not out of nerves, but out of quiet respect. Hi, she said. Hi, he replied with a soft smile. They walked toward the trail, letting silence guide the first few minutes. They passed a group of students studying on a bench, a couple tossing crumbs to birds, and an older man sitting alone with his coffee. Selina broke the silence first. There's something I want to ask you. Corvin nodded. Ask me anything. When did you start feeling distant? She asked. Before the company grew? After? Corvin took a moment before answering. He looked ahead and said, I think it started when the pressure got heavy. I told myself I was doing it for us, but I stopped checking if you still felt included. I stopped asking how you were holding up. I let stress push me into a tunnel. Selina listened quietly. Corvin continued. My days blurred. I started seeing work as the only thing I had to keep together, and without knowing, I pushed you to the side. Selina sighed softly. I felt that. I know, Corvin said, and I regret not seeing it sooner. They walked past a set of stone steps leading to a small lookout area. Selina gestured toward it. Let's sit there. They climbed up and sat at the top, overlooking the park. The breeze brushed lightly against them. Do you know what surprised me the most about that night? Selina asked without looking at him. Corvin waited. Tell me. It wasn't seeing her, Selina said. It was seeing that she had access to a part of you I no longer did. Corvin closed his eyes for a second. I'm sorry. I know you didn't plan it, she said. But it still hurt. He nodded. It should have been you beside me, not her. Selina looked at him for a moment, measuring the weight of his words. I want to understand something clearly. Anything, he said. Why did you stop coming home early? Why did you stop making time for us? She asked. He answered without delay. Because I got lost. I forgot how we built our love. I forgot that small moments matter more than big wins. I let the world shape me instead of protecting what we built. Selina breathed in slowly. She could feel his sincerity. His voice didn't shake. His eyes didn't wander. He wasn't performing. He was being human. Do you still want this marriage? She asked quietly. Corvin didn't blink. I want us more than anything. Selina nodded slowly. She didn't respond right away. She watched the trees move below them. Corvin waited patiently. Finally, she said, Then you'll need to understand something. Healing me will take time, patience, and presence. I'm ready for all of it, Corvin said. Selina shifted closer, not physically, but emotionally. I'm not promising the end result, but I'm willing to continue trying. Corvin exhaled a breath he didn't know he had been holding. Thank you. They sat together for a few more minutes, in quiet comfort. Not touching, not rushing, just two people trying to stitch together the edges of something once precious. When they stood up to walk back down, Corvin caught a glimpse of something he hadn't seen in weeks. Selina's eyes had a small spark of warmth. That alone gave him hope. Later that evening, Selina returned to her cousin's apartment and found her sitting on the couch with warm tea. You look different, her cousin said. Selina lowered her bag. Different how? Your eyes. They're not heavy today. Selina sat beside her. We talked for a while, and I think we're moving in the right direction. That's good, her cousin said, smiling gently. But take your time. I will. Across the city, Corvin returned home and cleaned the living room. He folded blankets, opened windows, and wiped down surfaces. He didn't know why, but cleaning made him feel closer to rebuilding himself. He found the small gift bag Selina dropped the night everything fell apart. His chest tightened. He picked it up, held it for a long moment, then placed it carefully on the table. He didn't dare open it. That was still hers. He sat on the sofa and whispered, I'm not losing her again. The next day, Selina texted Corvin again. Same time today? Yes, he replied. They met at the park, but something felt different today. The air carried a quiet tension, soft, warm and steady, not painful, not heavy, just aware. As they walked deeper into the trail, Selina stopped suddenly. What's wrong? Corvin asked. Selina looked straight at him. Her eyes didn't shake. Her voice didn't break. I'm ready for the next step, she said. Corvin's breath caught. What step? Selina took one slow breath. A deeper talk, the kind we avoided before, the kind that decides where we're going. He nodded. I'm ready. Good, she said. Because tomorrow, we won't meet at the park. We won't? He asked. She shook her head. Tomorrow, she said softly, you'll come with me somewhere important. Corvin swallowed hard. Where? Selina met his eyes. Home. His heart stopped for a beat. Not because she was returning, but because she was letting him step into the space they broke together. And that step would change everything. Selina spent the night thinking about the decision she made. It wasn't easy. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't driven by emotion alone. She felt ready for the next step because she had found steady ground inside herself. She no longer felt swallowed by pain. She no longer felt confused. She wanted clarity, and she knew she could not get it without facing the place where everything shattered. Her cousin noticed the difference as soon as they sat down together for breakfast. You're quiet, her cousin said. Selina took a slow breath before answering. I'm taking Corvin home today. Her cousin's eyes widened slightly, not in fear, but in understanding. Are you sure? Yes, Selina said. I need to feel the truth of that space again, not the pain, not the memory. The truth. Her cousin nodded. You're strong enough now. Selina nodded back, grateful for the support. Across town, Corvin sat on his balcony with warm tea in his hands. He hadn't slept much, not from fear, but from anticipation. When Selina said home, his heart reacted before his mind did. He didn't take it as reconciliation. He didn't take it as a promise. He took it as trust in progress, and that alone was enough. When his phone buzzed, he picked it up immediately. Ready? Her message said. Yes, he replied. He grabbed his jacket, took a deep breath, and left the house. Selina waited outside her cousin's building. The morning air felt cool against her skin. She wore a simple dress and held her hands together to keep them steady. When Corvin approached, he slowed his steps, studying her expression with care. Hi, he said softly. Hi, she replied. He didn't hug her. He didn't reach for her hand. He followed her lead, the way he'd been doing since the moment she asked for space. Are you ready? Selina asked. Yes, Corvin said. Whenever you are. They walked toward a cab. He let her enter first. Inside, she sat by the window, watching the city blur past them. Corvin sat quietly beside her, his hands folded in his lap. The closer they got to the home they once shared, the tighter Selina felt her chest become, not from fear, but from memory. She took a slow breath and reminded herself, I'm doing this for clarity, not closure. When they reached the building, she paused before stepping out. Corvin opened his door but didn't move toward her until she was ready. She finally stepped out of the car. He followed. They walked to the front entrance. Selina hesitated before unlocking the door. Take your time, Corvin said. Selina looked at him. I'm okay. She turned the key. The door opened. They stepped inside. The living room looked the same, but it felt different. The air was still, the lights soft, the silence heavy. Selina walked slowly, her eyes scanning the room. The place that once felt like warmth and home now felt like a room holding both love and pain at the same time. She looked at the sofa. The same place where she found Corvin with Riona. The same place where her trust cracked without a sound. Corvin stood behind her, not too close, not too far. Selina approached the sofa. She touched the back of it lightly. This is where it happened, she said quietly. Corvin's voice was steady, but filled with regret. Yes. Selina sat down slowly. She placed her hand on the cushion, letting the memory wash over her and pass through instead of drowning her. Tell me the truth, she said without looking at him. Every detail. Corvin didn't hesitate. I will. He sat down on the edge of an armchair across from her. His elbows rested on his knees, hands clasped. She came by to drop off some files, he began. We talked about work. Things shifted when she leaned in. I froze for a second, not because I wanted her, but because I didn't expect it. Why didn't you move? Selina asked. I don't know, he said honestly. Maybe shock, maybe exhaustion. Maybe I had ignored boundaries so long I didn't see the danger in the moment. Selina looked at him now. You should have moved. I know, he said. And I regret that, more than anything. Did you want her? Selina asked. No, he answered instantly. Not for a second. Selina studied his face. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He didn't hide. She nodded once, slowly. What hurt me most, she said, was that you let someone else get close in a way you no longer let me. Corvin breathed deeply. I understand that now. Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? She asked. Because I didn't want to disappoint you, he said softly. I didn't want to show weakness. I thought pushing harder at work made me strong, but it made me blind. Selina felt her throat tighten. She wasn't angry. She wasn't defensive. She was absorbing. Corvin, she said, I need to know something. He leaned forward. Anything. Who are you trying to be now? She asked. Corvin held her gaze. A man who shows up, a man who listens, a man who protects what he loves instead of neglecting it, a man who's willing to rebuild from the foundation. Selina felt something warm in her chest, not forgiveness, not relief, but recognition. Recognition of the man she once married. She stood, and walked to the window. She stared outside for a long moment. Corvin stayed seated, giving her all the space she needed. Finally, she said, "I'm not ready to come home." Corvin nodded slowly. "I expected that." "But I am ready," she continued, "for the next layer of healing." He looked up. "What do you need from me?" "Consistency," she said. "Effort, presence, and honesty about everything, good or bad." "You'll have it," Corvin replied. Selina turned to him. "I don't want words. I want patterns." "You'll have both," he said. She walked back toward him and stopped a few steps away. "This place doesn't scare me anymore," she said. "That means I'm moving forward." Corvin's eyes softened. "I'm grateful to walk forward with you." Selina held his gaze for a few seconds, then said, "Take me back to my cousin's place." "Of course." She picked up the small gift bag she left behind on the day everything broke. She held it in her hand, looked at it, then placed it inside her purse. Corvin didn't ask about it. She wasn't ready to give that answer yet. They left the home together, stepping out into the daylight. The air felt different, lighter, cleaner, alive. She still needed time. He still needed to prove himself. But this moment, stepping into the place that broke her and walking out with strength, was a turning point. The kind that leads into deeper healing. The kind that makes romance rebuild itself with truth instead of fantasy. The kind your viewers hold on to. The ride back to her cousin's apartment stayed quiet, but it didn't feel tense. Selina kept her eyes on the window, watching the buildings glide past. She didn't feel the same sting she felt weeks ago. She didn't feel anger clawing at her chest. She felt steady, clear, and Corvin felt that shift too. He didn't lean close. He didn't ask questions. He didn't push conversation. He simply sat beside her, present, calm, and respectful of the emotional space she chose. When they arrived, Selina opened the door and stepped out. Corvin joined her on the sidewalk, but didn't move past the invisible boundary she held. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" Corvin asked. "For walking through that with me." Corvin nodded slowly. "It was painful to see, but I'm glad you faced it, and I'm grateful you let me be part of it." Selina looked at him with steady eyes. "Growth happens in hard places." "You're right," he said. There were a few seconds of silence before Selina said, "Can we meet at the park again tomorrow?" "Yes," Corvin replied without hesitation. She gave a small nod. "Good night." "Good night, Selina." She turned and walked into the building. Corvin stood on the sidewalk for a moment longer, letting the night air settle around him. He wasn't happy. He wasn't relieved. He wasn't healed. But he felt something real inside him, hope with weight behind it. He walked back to his car and drove home. When he entered the house, he looked around with fresh eyes. The living room didn't feel like a reminder of failure anymore. It felt like a space waiting for redemption. He walked into the kitchen and placed his hands on the counter. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "I'll earn her trust one day at a time." Selina woke with a surprising sense of peace. Not joy, not forgiveness, but calm. She walked to the kitchen, made tea, and sat by the window. Her cousin joined her shortly after. "How did it go yesterday?" her cousin asked. Selina looked up. "It wasn't easy, but it helped. I needed to see the house again. I needed to enter the space that hurt me and leave with strength." Her cousin smiled. "You're healing?" Selina nodded. "Slowly." "And him?" her cousin asked. "He's trying," Selina said, "and for the first time, I can see it clearly." Her cousin reached out and squeezed her hand. "Your heart is brave." Selina smiled faintly. "It's tired, but it's brave." Corvin woke early, not from an alarm, but from habit. He made himself tea, then walked to the balcony. He stared at the rising sun and felt a soft pull in his chest. He thought about Selina's voice, her calm, her clarity. He thought about the trust he was slowly rebuilding. He returned inside, grabbed his phone, and saw no messages from her, and he didn't need one. She already told him they would meet. He showered, dressed simply, and left the house without checking work emails. His mornings were no longer shaped by his office. They were shaped by intention. He reached the office only to call his assistant. "I'll be working from home after lunch," he said. "Delegate the afternoon meetings." His assistant paused. "All of them?" "Yes," Corvin said. Understood. He wasn't cutting work out of his life. He was placing boundaries that should have existed long ago. Later that afternoon, Selina walked toward the park. She felt lighter. Her steps felt steady. When she reached their usual spot under the tree, she found Corvin already waiting. He stood straight when he saw her, not overly eager, not tense, just present. "Hi," she said. "Hi," he replied softly. "How are you today?" "Steady," she said. "That's good." They started walking. The path was quiet. The soft breeze brushed through the trees. Children played in the distance. Everything felt calm. After a few minutes, Selina spoke. "I've been thinking a lot about our early years." Corvin turned his head slightly. "What about them?" "How simple things were," she said. "We didn't need much. We didn't rush. We listened to each other. We held each other without pressure." Corvin nodded. "I miss those days." Selina inhaled slowly. "We didn't lose our love. We lost our rhythm." "That's on me," Corvin said quietly. "No," Selina said. It shifted on both sides. I waited in silence. I didn't communicate enough about what I needed. I trusted you too much to read what I wasn't saying. Corvin looked at her with surprise. "Selina, none of that was your fault." "I'm not blaming myself," she said. "I'm understanding the whole picture. We built a pattern where I held it together in silence while you drowned in work. We broke together." Corvin swallowed hard. "And we'll heal together." She didn't respond to that yet. They walked further down the trail. At one point, a small group of musicians played soft music near the fountain. Selina paused to listen. The sound wasn't loud. It was gentle, warm and steady. Corvin watched her face. The soft sadness in her eyes, the lingering love, the quiet strength. Everything about her reminded him of what he almost lost. After a few moments, she spoke again. "I want to ask you one more question," Selina said. "Anything," Corvin replied. "Are you trying to get back to who you were?" she asked. "Or are you trying to become someone better?" Corvin didn't hesitate. "I want to become someone better." Selina held his gaze. "Good, because I don't want the old version of us. I want something healthier, something steady, something honest." "You'll have that," Corvin said. "No," Selina corrected softly. "We'll build it." He smiled faintly at her choice of words. It wasn't a promise of forever, but it wasn't distance either. They reached the bench near the fountain and sat. Selina didn't sit far away this time. She didn't sit close either. She sat in a space that left room for growth. Corvin rested his hands on his knees. "Can I ask you something now?" Selina nodded. "What would make you feel safe again?" Selina didn't answer right away. She took her time, choosing the right words. "Consistency," she said. "Patience, vulnerability, and shared decisions." Corvin nodded slowly. "I can do that." "I know you can," she said. "But doing it daily is what matters." He breathed in deeply. "I understand." Selina looked at him again. "I'm not ready to come home, but I'm closer than before." Corvin's eyes softened. "That means everything to me." She stood. "Walk me home." He stood beside her. "Always." They walked back to her cousin's place. At the door, Selina looked at him with calm eyes. "You're showing effort," she said. "Don't stop." "I won't," Corvin said. She nodded once, then stepped inside. Corvin walked away with a sense of quiet pride, not in himself, but in the progress they were building together. He wasn't winning her back with words. He was earning her heart with steady actions. And for the first time, both of them could feel something forming, a second chance that didn't rely on promises, but on truth, healing, and emotional presence. Selina spent the evening sitting in her cousin's living room with a blanket wrapped around her legs. The lights were soft. The room felt safe. Her mind moved through a mix of feelings: peace, caution, and a quiet sense of becoming. Her cousin walked in with 2 cups of warm tea and handed her one. "You look deep in thought," her cousin said. Selina nodded. Today felt different. "How?" "He's showing up," Selina said. "Not in grand ways. In steady ways." Her cousin sat beside her. "Steady is what lasts." Selina smiled faintly. "I'm starting to see that." She leaned back, letting the warmth from the tea ease her body. The image of Corvin's eyes, soft, patient, grounded, kept replaying in her mind. It wasn't the look of a man trying to rush his way back into her life. It was the look of a man understanding the weight of his mistakes and choosing to walk through the consequences with maturity. She admired that, not for romance, for growth. On the other side of the city, Corvin stood on his balcony, watching the lights of passing cars. His living room was quiet, but his thoughts were active. He thought about her strength. He thought about her honesty. He thought about the way she looked at him, not with anger, not with rejection, but with careful hope. He whispered to himself, "I'm not losing her again because of who I used to be." He walked into the living room, straightened the cushions, and opened the windows to let fresh evening air inside. He wanted his home to feel alive again, not like a space filled with regret, but like a space waiting for something better. He picked up the photo from their first year of marriage. They were laughing at something she whispered in his ear. His heart tightened at the memory. "I miss us," he said quietly, "but I'll earn us back." He placed the photo back on the stand, not as something to cling to, but as something to learn from. The next day, they met at the park again. Selina arrived first this time. She stood near the fountain, hands in her pockets, breathing gently. She felt lighter today. Not fixed, not fully steady, but light enough to take the next step. Corvin approached quietly. "Hi," he said. She turned. "Hi." They started walking. The park felt warm, even in the shade. Selina noticed the way Corvin moved, not with desperation but with intention. After a few minutes she asked, "How was your morning?" "Focused," Corvin said. "I adjusted my schedule again." Selina raised a brow. "Adjusted how?" "I blocked out time for myself," he said. "And time for us. When you're ready." She nodded slowly. "That's good." He studied her face for a moment. "How are you feeling today?" "Clear," she said. "And calm." "That matters to me," Corvin replied. They continued walking until they reached a quieter area of the park. Birds rested on branches. The air felt fresh. The moment felt right. Selina stopped walking. Corvin paused too. "I want to talk about the future," Selina said. Corvin lowered his voice. "I'm listening." She looked ahead, breathing deeply. "If we ever find our way back home, I want to rebuild from new ground. Not from routine, not from habit, from understanding." Corvin nodded. "I want the same. I also need honesty," she continued. "About your stress, about your struggles, about everything you carried alone." Corvin looked down briefly. "I didn't hide things because I didn't trust you. I hid them because I didn't want to burden you." "You're my partner," Selina said, "not my guest. You're supposed to bring your weight to me." He nodded slowly. "I understand that now." "Good," she said softly. "Because love without communication becomes guessing, and guessing turns into distance." Corvin felt her words land heavy but true. "I'll talk more," he promised. "Not as a way to vent, as a way to share my world with you." Selina turned to him fully. "That's what I want." A few moments passed before she spoke again. "There's another thing," she said. Corvin braced himself, but gently. "I need boundaries," Selina said, "between you and your work, between you and other people, between old habits and new ones." "You'll have them," Corvin replied. She studied him carefully. "And most of all, I need peace, not perfection." Corvin's voice softened. "You deserve peace." Selina nodded. "And I'm willing to build it with you." Corvin let out a slow breath. "Selina, thank you." But Selina wasn't done. "Tomorrow," she said quietly. I want you to meet me for dinner. Corvin's eyes lifted, surprised. Dinner? Yes. A small place near the lake. No pressure. Just us. No phones? He asked. No phones, she replied. He nodded once. I would love that. They walked back toward her cousin's building together. The distance between them felt different now. Not cold, not hesitant. Soft, comfortable. When they reached the door, Corvin paused. Selina? Yes? He held her gaze. Thank you for allowing me back into your life in small steps. Selina answered with the same steady warmth she'd been carrying lately. Small steps are still progress. He lowered his voice. I'll see you tomorrow. She nodded. Tomorrow? She turned and walked into the building. Corvin exhaled slowly and walked away with a heart full of something he hadn't felt in months. A gentle, rising belief that love wasn't gone. It was growing again, slow and patient. Selina stood in her room, looking at the dress she planned to wear for dinner. She didn't choose something bold. She chose something simple, something that felt like her. She whispered to herself, I'm ready. Her cousin peeked into the room. You look happy. Selina smiled softly. Not happy yet, but hopeful. That's enough, her cousin said. Selina nodded. Yes. It is. Across the city, Corvin ironed a shirt he hadn't worn in months. Something calm, something clean, something that reminded him of earlier days. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw a man trying, not for show, not for forgiveness, but for truth. He whispered, Don't rush, don't ruin, just be real. Their next meeting wouldn't be a walk. It wouldn't be a discussion. It wouldn't be a step back into pain. It would be a dinner that opened a new chapter, quiet, emotional, and real. And it would be the first moment where her heart opened a little deeper, and his steadied enough to meet her fully. This was the night that would change their rhythm again, this time in a good way. Selina arrived at the lake before Corvin. The evening air felt soft against her skin, and the quiet ripple of water steadied her nerves. She chose an outdoor table beside the railing, close enough to feel the breeze but far enough to have privacy. She didn't want a crowded place. She wanted peace, honesty, and a space where emotion could breathe. Corvin approached a few minutes later. His steps were slow, careful, almost respectful of the moment she created. When he reached the table, he paused. Hi, he said gently. Selina looked up at him. Hi. He waited for her signal before sitting. She nodded, and he took the seat across from her. No phones, no distractions. Both of them were fully present. For the first time in a long while, they sat face to face in a calm setting. No tension, no arguments, just the soft glow of the lake lights reflecting between them. You picked a nice place, Corvin said. It's quiet, Selina replied. I needed quiet. I'm glad you invited me, he said. Selina held her glass lightly. I wanted to see you in a different setting. Not a park, not the house. Something neutral. That makes sense, Corvin said. The waiter arrived. They ordered simple meals, then returned to silence. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like an unspoken agreement to ease into the night instead of rushing it. Selina studied him for a moment. His posture was open. His eyes were steady. His energy felt grounded. He didn't come with fear or excuses. He came with calm effort. She finally spoke. I'm learning how to trust myself again. Corvin listened closely. I respect that. Being hurt changes you, she said. It makes you question your own judgment. It makes you second-guess the moments that once felt safe. I know, Corvin said quietly. And I'm sorry for being the cause of that. Selina nodded. I don't want an apology repeated. I want to see change. You will, he said. She believed him a little. Not fully, not blindly, but enough to keep talking. When I saw you with her, she said slowly, it wasn't jealousy that hit me. It was shock, the kind that reaches the deepest part of you and shakes everything. Corvin lowered his gaze for a moment. I never meant for that moment to exist. But it did, she said softly. And we can't undo it. I know. I'm not looking to erase it. I'm learning how to understand it without letting it control me. That matters, he said. Their meals arrived, giving them a moment to breathe. They ate quietly for a few minutes. The stillness between them felt peaceful, not strained. After a while, Corvin spoke. "Can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "What made you reach out after weeks of silence?" Selina set down her fork. "I didn't want my life shaped by hurt. I needed time to feel my own voice again. Once I felt that stability inside myself, I knew I could talk to you without falling apart." "That's strong," Corvin said. "It's growth," Selina replied. He nodded. She sipped her water and asked, "What changed for you these past weeks?" "A lot," he said. "I looked at my life without excuses. I faced the truth of how I let pressure turn me into someone I didn't recognize. I learned how much presence matters, and I learned I can't build a future when I'm always living in overwhelm." Selina watched him carefully. "And now?" "Now, I'm learning balance," he said. "Real balance. Not the kind that's spoken, the kind that's lived." She felt that. The waiter cleared their plates. The lake breeze grew cooler. Selina pulled her sweater closer. Corvin noticed but didn't reach out. He didn't want to cross a boundary she didn't open. Selina appreciated that. He was finally learning her slower rhythm. After a moment she said, "I want to tell you something important." Corvin straightened. "I'm here. I'm not trying to go back to who we were," she said. "I don't want the early years of our marriage. They were beautiful, but they had their own flaws. I want something different now, something grown, something new." Corvin listened without blinking. "I want that too." "Are you sure?" she asked. "Because this version of us will need more emotional work, more communication, more openness." "I'm ready," he said. She held his gaze, searching for hesitation. She found none. "Good," she whispered. The moon reflected off the water. The sounds of the lake softened the space around them. Corvin spoke again, his voice low and steady. "Can I ask one more thing?" Selina lifted her chin slightly. "What is it?" "Do you feel anything for me now?" he asked carefully. "Anything at all?" Selina didn't rush her answer. She didn't want to offer comfort she didn't feel. She didn't want to pretend she was more healed than she actually was. She looked down at her hands, then back at him. "Yes," she said, "I do." Corvin inhaled slowly, holding on to every syllable. "But it's different now," she continued. "It's softer, cautious, but real." "That's enough," he said. "Thank you." Selina exhaled gently. "This dinner helped. I'm glad," he replied. They didn't leave immediately. They stayed in the warmth of the moment, letting the night settle around them. There was no rush, no pressure, no expectation, just two hearts learning how to meet again without breaking. When they finally stood, Corvin walked her to the curb. A soft breeze brushed past them. Selina tucked her hair behind her ear. Corvin stayed still, hands at his sides. "Can I walk you home?" Selina paused. Her heart swayed. This wasn't the same question from before. This one came from a man learning patience. She nodded slowly. "Yes, you can." And for the first time since everything fell apart, they walked side by side at night, not as a broken couple, not as strangers, but as two people choosing to try again with quiet strength. Their steps aligned. Their silence felt warm. And something inside Selina whispered, "This is the beginning of something new." Selina and Corvin walked side by side down the quiet street. The night carried a gentle calm, the kind that made everything feel softer. Streetlights glowed above them, and their shadows stretched long across the pavement. Neither of them rushed. Their steps matched naturally, as if their bodies remembered a rhythm their hearts were still learning. Selina kept her hands in her sweater pockets. Corvin kept his hands loosely by his sides. He didn't reach for her. He didn't close the space. He let her lead the pace by simply being present. "How did tonight feel for you?" she asked after a few minutes. Corvin took a breath before answering. "Honest. And needed. It reminded me of how much I used to miss the simple things with you." Selina nodded. Simple moments always told the truth. He smiled faintly. They still do. They kept walking, turning onto a quieter block. A couple passed them, holding hands. Selina watched them for a second, long enough to feel the memory of what she lost, but short enough to stay grounded in what she was rebuilding. Corvin noticed her gaze but didn't comment. He didn't want to pull her out of her thoughts or push her into a feeling she wasn't ready for. She spoke again. "You didn't crowd me tonight. I didn't want to," he said. "I wanted you to feel safe." "You did," she replied. He exhaled slowly, grateful. A soft breeze moved through the trees above them. Selina tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Corvin watched the movement, not with longing, but with quiet appreciation. "Selina," he said gently. She turned her head. "Yes? Thank you for telling me what you felt at dinner. Not the pain from before, but the truth about now." She paused. "I owed myself that honesty, and I'm grateful you shared it with me," he said. Selina looked ahead again. "There's something different about you lately. In a good way?" he asked cautiously. "In a real way," she replied. He took that in with care. "What changed?" she asked. "A lot of things," he said. "But the biggest one was seeing what my choices did to you. Not just that night. In the months before it, I didn't want to become the man who loses you." She didn't answer right away. She let silence guide the moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm. "I didn't want to lose us either," she said. "But I couldn't stay and break myself." "I know," Corvin whispered. "And you were right to step away." They reached the building. Selina stopped near the entrance, turning to face him fully. The porch light cast a soft glow on her face. Corvin stopped too, his posture open, steady, respectful. "Tonight felt good," Selina said. "I'm glad it did. It didn't take away the past," she continued. "But it gave me comfort and clarity. That's all I hoped for," he said. She stepped a little closer. Not much. Just enough for her voice to soften naturally in the space between them. "There's something else I want to ask," she said. He straightened slightly. "Anything. When you look at me now," she asked, "what do you feel?" He didn't rush his answer. He didn't try to impress her. He spoke simply. "I see the woman I love," he said quietly. "The woman I hurt. The woman I'm willing to grow for. The woman I don't want to lose again." Selina held his gaze. Her chest tightened, but not with pain, with truth. She said nothing for a moment. She let the words settle. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. "Thank you." Corvin nodded, grateful she didn't step back or shut down. Instead, she stayed close enough for the air between them to feel warm. "Selina," he said carefully, "can I do something?" She raised a brow. "What?" "It's small," he added quickly. "Just something honest." "Tell me first," she said. "I want to kiss your forehead," he said. "Not for romance, for respect, but only if you're okay with it." Selina didn't expect that. Her heart stirred gently, not from longing, but from the sincerity behind the request. He didn't ask for her lips. He didn't ask for closeness he hadn't earned. He asked for something soft, something respectful, something measured. She studied him for a moment. Then she nodded. "Yes, you can." Corvin stepped close, slow and careful, giving her time to change her mind if she needed to. When he reached her, he lifted a hand and touched her cheek with the lightest touch. Then he leaned down and pressed a soft, steady kiss on her forehead. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't possessive. It was peaceful. Selina closed her eyes for a second and let herself feel it, not as a promise, but as a moment. When he pulled back, he stepped away on his own, giving her space again. She opened her eyes and looked at him with a warmer expression than before. "Good night, Corvin," she said. "Good night, Selina." She walked inside. He remained on the porch for several seconds, letting the night sink into his chest. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He simply breathed deeply, grateful for the slow shift happening between them. Across the city, Selina lay in bed thinking about the gentle kiss on her forehead. It didn't hurt. It didn't confuse her. It didn't push her. It soothed. It reminded her of the man she once loved deeply. It reminded her that maybe, slowly, they were finding a new version of each other. She whispered into the dark, "I'm getting closer." And Corvin, sitting in his quiet living room, whispered to himself, "I'll stay patient." Tomorrow would bring another step, one neither of them expected, one they both needed. Before we move into the next chapter, take a moment to share your thoughts. Have you ever tried to rebuild something that once felt broken? Your story might help someone who is watching this right now. If this chapter touched you, like the video and subscribe. Your support helps this channel grow and brings more powerful stories your way. Selena woke early the next morning with a strange mix of calm and anticipation sitting in her chest. She lay still for a moment, staring at the ceiling and replaying the soft kiss Corvin placed on her forehead. It wasn't the kiss of a man trying to reclaim something. It was the kiss of a man learning how to love with respect. She didn't feel pulled. She didn't feel overwhelmed. She felt steady. Her cousin knocked lightly on the door. "You awake?" "Yes," Selena said. Her cousin walked in with warm tea. "You look different today." Selena sat up. "Different? How?" "You're not carrying the same heaviness." Selena took the cup. "I'm letting go of some of it." "That's growth," her cousin said gently. Selena nodded. "I think I'm ready to move forward. I don't know how far, but I can feel movement." Her cousin smiled. "Whatever step you take it because your heart is clear, not because you're afraid." "I know," Selena said, "and I think I'm clear today." She sipped her tea, feeling the warmth chase away the last layer of doubt she carried. Across the city, Corvin sat at his kitchen table with breakfast he barely touched. He kept thinking about last night, the way Selena allowed that gentle kiss, the way she didn't pull back, the way she looked at him with a softness he hadn't seen in months. He didn't mistake it for reconciliation. He didn't turn it into a promise. He understood it as a step, a small one, a meaningful one. He checked his schedule, removed everything after noon, and left his phone on silent. He wanted nothing to interfere with where this day might take them. Selena messaged him first. "Are you free for a walk?" "Yes," he replied. "Meet me at the East Trail," she wrote. He smiled slightly. She hadn't chosen that trail before. It was quieter, more private, more scenic. Maybe she was ready for deeper conversation. Maybe she simply wanted space. Whatever the reason, he would meet her exactly where she needed. He arrived 10 minutes early. She arrived on time. When she reached him, she didn't stand far away. She stayed close enough for their voices to blend naturally. "Morning," she said. "Morning," he replied. They began walking through the tall trees lining the trail. The sunlight slipped through the branches in thin lines. The path felt peaceful, untouched. Selena spoke first. "I've been thinking about something." Corvin listened with his full attention. "Tell me." "People expect healing to be instant," she said. "They think forgiveness should come as quickly as hurt." "I don't," Corvin replied. "Not anymore." Selena nodded. "Good, because my healing won't be fast. It will be slow, real, honest." "I'm here for slow," he said. She gave him a small look, the kind that lasted only a second but spoke volumes. They kept walking. After a few minutes, Selena stopped near a wooden railing overlooking a quiet stream. She rested her hands on it and looked at the water. Corvin stayed beside her but didn't crowd her. She said, "I want to understand why you changed. Not the surface reasons, the deeper ones." Corvin took a slow breath. "I was afraid." Selena turned her head. "Of what?" "Of failing," he said. "Of losing everything I built, of not being enough. I thought if I took one moment to breathe, everything would fall apart. I let fear run my life." Selena considered that. Fear can push people into dark corners. "Yes," he said, "and I chose a corner that pushed you away." She ran her thumb along the railing. "I didn't know you were scared." "I didn't show it," he said. "I thought admitting it made me weaker, but hiding it made me worse." "I would have listened," she said softly. "I know," he replied, "and that's why it hurts the most. You were always the safe place, and I ran from the one place that would have helped me." Selina didn't reply for a moment. She let the honesty settle. She let herself breathe through it. "I'm not angry anymore," she said finally. Corvin looked at her carefully. "You're not?" "No," she said. The anger faded. "What's left is clarity." "Clarity about what?" he asked. "About who I want to be," she said. "With or without you." Corvin swallowed, but he stayed steady. "And who is that?" "A woman who chooses peace," she said. "A woman who chooses presence. A woman who doesn't shrink herself to hold a relationship together." "You don't have to shrink for me ever again," he said. "I know," she replied. She started walking again, and Corvin followed. The trees rustled quietly above them. Their footsteps fell in sync without effort. After a while, Selina said, "There's something you need to hear." He braced himself gently. "I'm listening." "You didn't lose my love," she said. "You lost the version of me that accepted being ignored." Corvin closed his eyes for a second. Those words hit with truth, not pain. He opened them again. "You deserve better than who I was." "I deserve someone who's present," she said. "Someone who listens, someone who sees me." "You have that now," he said quietly. Selina didn't dismiss it. She didn't accept it blindly either. She let it sit between them. The trail curved to an opening where a long wooden bench rested under a wide oak tree. Selina walked toward it and sat. Corvin sat beside her, leaving enough space for her comfort. "I'm learning to trust you again." She paused, in small pieces. "That's all I ask," he said. She turned her face toward him, her expression soft but serious. "Can I tell you something honest?" she asked. "Please do," he said. "I missed you," she said plainly. "Not the old you. The version of you that looks at me the way you've been looking lately." Corvin's breath caught. "I missed you too." "More than you know." Selina looked down at her hands for a moment, then back at him. "I'm not ready for everything," she said, "but I'm ready for something." Corvin nodded slowly. "Whatever you're ready for, I'll meet you there." She took a quiet breath. Good. He didn't touch her. He didn't lean closer. But she did something neither of them expected. She shifted a few inches closer, not enough to close the gap completely, but enough to show the gap was no longer fear. It was simply time. She looked at the trees, then at him again. "Walk me home later," she asked. His voice stayed soft. "Of course." Selina stood, and he followed. They walked deeper into the trail side by side, hearts steady, breaths aligned. Something new was forming. Not the past. Not the broken version of what they once had. Something rebuilt from truth, presence, and small moments. The kind of foundation that lasts. Selina and Corvin left the trail and walked toward the busier part of the park. The soft energy between them remained steady, warm, and calm. Selina didn't move away. Corvin didn't rush closer. Their rhythm felt natural, as if their bodies were learning how to exist beside each other again without pressure. They stopped near a small garden where flowers lined the walkway. Selina touched a petal gently, letting her fingers move across the softness. "I used to come here alone when you got too busy," she said. Corvin paused. "I didn't know that." "You didn't ask," she replied softly, not as an accusation, but as truth. He took a slow breath. "I should have noticed. I should have made space." "It's okay," she said. "I'm past blaming. I'm understanding. There's a difference." He watched her for a moment. Her calmness humbled him. She wasn't speaking from hurt now. She was speaking from clarity, a version of her he always loved, but never slowed down enough to appreciate. "Selina," he said carefully, "you're stronger than you know." She looked at him with a thoughtful expression. "I had to be. Weakness would have kept me stuck." "And you're not stuck anymore," he whispered. "No," she said. "I'm choosing. Every step with you now is a choice, not a habit." He nodded slowly. "And every step with you is something I'm grateful for." They walked again, turning down a quiet path that led toward the street. The sun lowered slightly, casting a warm glow across the sidewalk. As they crossed the small bridge, Selina stopped and leaned on the railing. The water below moved slowly, reflecting the orange light of the setting sun. Corvin stood beside her, not touching, not crowding, just present. She said, "Do you know what scared me the most after everything?" "What?" he asked quietly. "The idea that I would lose myself trying to fix us," she said. "I never want to be that woman again." "You won't be," Corvin said. "Not with me, not ever again." She looked at him with steady eyes. "I'm holding you to that." "I want you to," he replied. A few kids ran across the bridge laughing, the sound echoing between them for a moment. Selina smiled softly at the noise. Corvin watched the smile appear, and the sight pulled something warm through his chest. "You haven't smiled like that in a long time," he said gently. She didn't hide it. "I haven't felt this safe in a long time." The truth of her words hit him deeper than anything she had said before. Safety. That was what he failed to protect. That was what he was slowly rebuilding. He said quietly, "Thank you for letting me be part of that." She didn't respond with words. Instead, she shifted slightly, letting her shoulder brush his arm, not fully. Leaning on him, not reaching for him, but allowing a moment of closeness. The touch was light, brief, real. Corvin didn't move. He didn't turn to pull her closer. He stayed steady, letting her guide the pace. After a few seconds, she stepped away again. He respected the shift. "Are you hungry?" she asked, surprising herself as much as him. "A little," Corvin said. "Are you?" "Yes," she answered. "There's a small place near the corner. Simple, nothing fancy." "I'd like that," he said. They walked toward the cafe. When they reached the door, Selina paused. "Let's get something to go," she said. Corvin nodded. "Anything you want." Inside, they ordered 2 warm meals. While they waited, Selina stood beside him, close enough to feel his presence, far enough to keep her comfort. When they stepped outside with the bags, Corvin asked gently, "Would you like me to walk you back now?" Selina looked down the street. "Actually, walk with me a little longer." His heart tightened quietly. "Of course." They crossed the street together, moving through the soft evening glow. Selina held the food bag close, her fingers brushing the warm edges. Corvin matched her steps, not leading, not following, walking beside her as equals. Halfway down the block, she spoke again. "There's something you should know," she said. "I'm listening. I'm not sure where this ends," she said calmly. "I'm not promising a date when I'll come home. I'm not promising a timeline for healing. I don't need a timeline," he said. "I need presence, and you're giving me that." She nodded. "Good, because presence is what I can offer, for now." "That's everything to me," he said. They kept walking until they reached her building. This time, Selina didn't stop a few feet away. She walked closer to the door and turned to face him fully. "You made today easy," she said softly. "I wanted to," he replied. "You deserve easy moments." Her eyes softened in a way he hadn't seen in months. Not forgiveness, not finality, but a warm opening, gentle, cautious, and honest. "Thank you for the walk," she said. "Selina," he said, "thank you for letting me be part of your day." She hesitated for a second, then surprised both of them. She stepped close and placed her hand lightly on his chest, just above his heartbeat. The gesture was soft, warm, intimate, and steady. "I can feel the change," she whispered. Corvin didn't move. He didn't reach for her hand. He let the moment be hers. "Good," he said softly. "I want you to feel it." She pulled her hand back slowly, her fingers trailing against his shirt for a second. "Good night," she murmured. "Good night," he said. She went inside. He stayed on the sidewalk with a heart full of something deep and real. Not hope alone, not longing. Something stronger. A growing belief that this second chance was no longer a distant idea. It was becoming real. One choice, one moment, one touch at a time. Selina woke the next morning with a soft warmth sitting in her chest. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't confusion. It was something steadier, something that made her breathe a little deeper. She touched the spot on her chest where her hand rested against Corvin the night before. The memory wasn't painful. It wasn't overwhelming. It was calming. Her cousin stepped into the room holding a basket of folded clothes. "You slept well," she said. Selina nodded. "I needed to. Did the walk help?" Selina took a slow breath. "It helped more than I expected." Her cousin smiled. "Your heart looks lighter today." "Not healed," Selina said softly, "but lighter." "That's enough," her cousin replied. Selina got up, dressed, and tied her hair back. She glanced at her phone. No messages from Corvin. She appreciated that. He stopped trying to fill every silence and started letting her create the pace. She didn't message him either. Not yet. She wanted to move through her morning with her own thoughts first. Across the city, Corvin was already dressed, sitting by the window with a bowl of oatmeal he hadn't touched. He held the spoon but kept staring out at the skyline. He replayed the feeling of Selina's hand on his chest. He replayed the softness in her eyes. He replayed the steady way she said, "I can feel the change." Those words lived in his mind like a quiet promise, one he didn't take for granted. At noon, his phone buzzed. He reached for it immediately, but when he saw the name, he paused before opening the message. He wanted to breathe first. Enter the moment with clarity. Selina wrote, "Are you free later?" He typed slowly, "Yes." "Whenever you want," she replied a few seconds later. "Meet me at the bookstore, the one near 7th. He stared at the message with a gentle shock. That was the bookstore where they met the week after their first date. The place where they sat on the floor reading random sections from novels. The place where she told him he made her feel seen. He didn't waste a second. "I'll be there," he wrote. 2 hours later, Selina pushed open the bookstore door. The faint smell of paper and warm light wrapped around her. The place hadn't changed much. Books stacked high, wooden floors. A small reading corner with brown armchairs. She moved down the aisle slowly, touching the spines with her fingertips. Corvin arrived moments later. When he saw her standing between 2 tall shelves, his breath caught. Not because of beauty, though she carried that effortlessly, but because the space around her felt gentle, hopeful, familiar. He approached quietly. "Hi," he said. She turned, giving him a calm smile. "Hi." They stood among the books, soaking in the nostalgia without drowning in it. "You remember this place?" Selina asked. "Every part of it," Corvin said. "This is where you told me you loved mystery novels more than romance. And you told me you didn't read much at all," she said with a small laugh. "I was trying to impress you," he replied. She raised a brow. "By admitting you didn't read? By being honest," he said. Selina looked at him for a long moment. That honesty mattered more now than ever. She moved to the small reading corner and sat in one of the armchairs. Corvin sat in the other, leaving space but staying close enough for their voices to fall between them easily. "I wanted to come here," Selina said, "because this place reminds me of something we lost." "What's that?" Corvin asked. "Ease," she said. "This was where we were simple. No pressure, no rush, no weight on us." Corvin nodded slowly. "I miss that version of us." "I do too," she whispered. "But I don't want to return to who we were. I want to blend who we used to be with who we're becoming now." Corvin's eyes softened. "That sounds beautiful." She gave a small smile. "It sounds healthy." They sat in silence for a moment. Selina picked up a book from the table and flipped through it without reading. She said, "When everything happened, I felt like the version of me that lived here, the girl who felt safe with you, disappeared." His throat tightened. "I'm sorry you felt that." "I'm not telling you this for guilt," she said. "I want you to understand why showing up slowly matters to me. I need to rediscover safety in small pieces." "I understand," he said gently. "You've been patient," she added. "You've been steady." Corvin leaned forward slightly. "I want you to heal at your pace. I want to meet you wherever you are." Selina looked at him with eyes that carried calm certainty. "Good. Because today, I'm ready for a little more." He didn't move. He didn't reach for her. He waited. Selina stood and motioned for him to follow. He walked with her toward the back of the bookstore, where the windows let in warm afternoon light. She stopped near the shelves of poetry. "This section," she said quietly, "was where you kissed me the first time." Corvin swallowed. "I remember." It was slow. "Gentle," she whispered. "The way you're learning to be again." He didn't speak. He let her lead. Selina turned toward him, standing close enough for her voice to fall softly between them. "I'm not ready for everything," she said, "but I'm ready for this." Corvin's voice dropped, warm and low. "Tell me, I want you to hold my hand," she said. His chest tightened, not with want, with emotion. He lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to change her mind. She lifted hers. Their fingers touched. Her hand slid into his. Warm, soft, steady. No rush. No weight. No expectation. Selina's lips parted with a soft breath. "This feels good." "It does," Corvin said quietly. They stood there in the soft light of the bookstore, hands intertwined, hearts steady, the past and present meeting gently between their palms. And for the first time since the heartbreak, Selina felt the simple truth she had been searching for. She felt safe. Selina didn't let go of his hand right away. She held it for a few seconds longer, letting the warmth settle into her skin. It wasn't like before. It wasn't filled with intensity or longing. It was gentle, careful, and steady, the kind of hand-holding built on emotional truth, not habit. When she finally released him, she stepped back slightly, giving both of them space to breathe. Corvin didn't try to follow the distance. He respected the shift. He let her lead, the way he had slowly learned to do. Selina looked at a row of poetry books on the shelf beside them. She traced her finger along the spine of one, then said, "Holding your hand didn't hurt." Corvin exhaled slowly. "I'm glad. It didn't bring back the old us," she continued. "It created something new, something calmer." "Calm is good," he said. She turned toward him fully. "I'm learning that love can grow quietly." "It can," he said softly. "And I want to grow it that way with you." Selina didn't answer with words. She answered with a small look, warm, steady, hopeful. The kind of look that stays. They walked back toward the front of the bookstore. Selina picked up a small paperback and flipped through it. Corvin watched her move, not with longing, but with appreciation. She was becoming lighter, clearer, more grounded. She was moving from hurt to healing, step by step. When she closed the book, she said, "I want to show you something." "Anything," he replied. She walked toward the aisle where the journals were kept. She picked up a simple beige notebook with unlined pages. "I bought one like this a week after everything happened," she said. Corvin listened intently. "I wrote in it every night," she continued. "Not angry things, honest things. My fears, my confusion, my questions, my hope." "Did it help?" he asked. She nodded. "It helped me understand myself without breaking under the weight of the moment." She placed the notebook back on the shelf and breathed out slowly. "I wrote about you too," she admitted. "About how much I missed you. About how lost I felt. About how I wanted to be strong without being bitter." Corvin's eyes softened. "Thank you for telling me that." "I'm telling you because I want us to rebuild from truth," she said, "not from silence." "I want the same," he said quietly. Selina walked toward the exit. Corvin followed. When they stepped outside, the late afternoon sun touched their skin with a warm glow. The sidewalk was calm. People passed without noise. Selina stopped on the curb. "Walk with me," she asked. "Anywhere," he said. They moved down the street side by side. This time, she didn't keep distance. She walked close enough that their arms brushed now and then. Each touch was light, accidental, natural. Corvin felt every brush of her arm like a quiet reminder that healing wasn't a straight line, but they were moving forward. Selina spoke again, her voice softer. "There's something I want you to hear." "I'm listening," he said. "I'm not afraid of you anymore." Corvin's breath caught. He didn't expect that. It wasn't just a statement. It was a shift, a turning point. A new beginning. Selina, he said, his voice low. That means more than I can put into words. She nodded. It means I'm healing. It means the fear is dissolving. It means you're showing up in a way that feels safe. He swallowed hard. I'm grateful. They walked until they reached the small bridge near her cousin's neighborhood. Selina leaned on the railing again. The evening light reflected on the water below. Corvin stood beside her with the same respectful distance as before. After a moment, she said, I want to ask you something important. Ask me anything, he said. Do you understand what rebuilding with me requires? She asked. Yes, he replied. Tell me, she said. Corvin met her gaze with quiet certainty. Consistency, patience, communication, emotional presence, honesty, and the willingness to face discomfort instead of hiding from it. Selina felt a warmth spread through her chest. You've been learning. I had to, he said. She nodded slowly. Good. Because I don't ever want to return to a version of us where I feel small. You won't, he said. Not with who I'm becoming. Selina watched the water for a moment, then looked back at him. She didn't say anything for a few seconds. She let the silence speak, and then she stepped a little closer, closing a small space, bridging an old wound, choosing progress over fear. You can walk me the rest of the way, she whispered. Corvin inhaled deeply. With all my heart. They walked toward her building, shoulder to shoulder. When they reached the entrance, she didn't rush inside. She turned, her eyes warm and steady. Today was good, she said softly. It was, Corvin replied. She looked at him for a long moment, long enough for her heart to speak before her lips did. Then she reached out and touched his forearm, a soft, slow, intentional touch. I'm ready for more steps, she said. Corvin held her gaze. I'll take everyone with you. Selina withdrew her hand gently and walked inside. Corvin stayed outside a few seconds longer, letting the moment settle deep into him. Her words replayed in his head. I'm ready for more steps. And he whispered to himself as he walked away. So am I. Their healing was no longer a thought. It was movement. It was rhythm. It was unfolding. One small, meaningful step at a time. Selina woke with a quiet sense of clarity. It wasn't joy. It wasn't excitement. It was steadiness. She got out of bed, stretched her arms, and glanced at the small window beside her. Soft light filtered through. A new day. A new small step. Her cousin was already in the kitchen, making tea. You look calm, she said with a raised brow. Selina poured herself a cup. Yesterday felt right. Are you nervous about today? Her cousin asked. No, Selina said. For the first time in a while, I'm not. She didn't say more. She didn't need to. Her cousin saw the shift. Across town, Corvin stood outside his apartment building with a small bag in his hand. Inside it was a warm breakfast, nothing fancy, nothing dramatic. Simple food. Thoughtful food. He wasn't sure if she would accept it, but he wanted to show up with something that didn't overwhelm her. He checked the time. Selina usually came out around 7:30. He stayed on the opposite side of the street so he wouldn't crowd her. When she stepped out of the building, Corvin's heart tightened. She looked peaceful. Soft hair pinned back. A simple coat. Calm eyes. She didn't see him at first. He waited until she looked across the street, and their eyes met. Selina slowed, not with shock, not with hesitation, with awareness. Corvin raised the bag slightly, a small gesture. I brought breakfast, he said from a distance. His voice was soft, steady. Only if you want it. Selina walked across the street, not rushed, not tense, balanced. What is it? She asked. Warm pastries, he said. And tea, the kind you like. She looked at the bag, then at him. You woke up early for this, she said. I wanted to, he replied. She took the bag carefully. Thank you. You're welcome. There was no awkwardness, no pressure, just gentle presence. Are you heading to work? Corvin asked. Not yet, Selina said. I wanted to walk to the river first, clear my mind. He nodded slowly. Would you like company? Selina held the bag with both hands and thought quietly for a moment. Then she said, Yes. Walk with me. Corvin didn't step in front of her. He didn't fall behind. He walked right beside her, matching her pace, letting her energy guide the morning. They moved through the quiet streets, the city still waking up. Selina opened the bag and took out the tea. She took a slow sip and let the warmth settle inside her. It's perfect, she said. I'm glad, Corvin replied. They reached the river and stood by the railing. The early breeze brushed their faces, light and fresh. Selina placed the bag on the ledge and leaned forward, watching the water move. I used to come here when things got overwhelming, she said. I didn't want anyone to see me trying to keep my balance. Corvin glanced at her. I wish I had known. I didn't tell you, she said. I didn't know how to explain the weight I carried. I should have been paying attention, he said softly. Selina shook her head. It wasn't just your job or your distractions. I didn't know how to ask for closeness without feeling needy. Needy isn't wrong, he said. Wanting care isn't wrong. She looked at him. And what about you? Do you know how to ask for help? His jaw tightened, not defensively, but honestly. I'm learning. You were always trying to be the strong one, she said. But strength without vulnerability doesn't hold love. I see that now, he replied. A quiet stillness settled between them, warm, not heavy. Selina took out a pastry from the bag and shared a small piece with him. She didn't overthink the gesture. She didn't analyze it. She just did it. He accepted it gently, brushing her fingers lightly in the exchange. The touch was small, but it moved through both of them with soft meaning. Do you want to sit? Selina asked. I'd like that, he said. They found a bench near the river. Selina sat first, crossing her legs. Corvin sat beside her with space, not crowding her. She set the tea between them and held the pastry with both hands. Corvin, she said. Yes? When I walked in that day, I felt like my whole body froze. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even speak. His face tightened with quiet regret. I know. I saw it. It wasn't only the moment that hurt me, she said. It was everything that came before it. The distance, the silence, the nights you turned away from me without knowing what it did to me. He nodded slowly. I understand. I don't want to carry that anymore, she continued. But I need to speak it, not to punish you, to free myself. Speak everything you need, he said. I'll listen. Selina took a breath that felt like a release. I thought I lost my voice in our marriage. I thought I had to stay quiet to keep the peace, but quiet hurt me more than fighting ever would have. Corvin listened without interrupting. I stopped asking for things. I stopped sharing my dreams. I stopped reaching for you because each time I reached, I felt like you were farther. Corvin's hands tightened in his lap. I'm sorry. I know, she said. And your apology means something now because it comes with effort. He looked at her with steady eyes. I want to understand everything. I want to be better, for both of us. Selina shifted slightly so she could see him more clearly. Tell me what you felt, she said. Corvin exhaled slowly. I felt pressure, not from you, from everything around me. I let that pressure swallow me until I stopped seeing what mattered. I thought I was building a future for us, but I was losing the present with you. Selina nodded. Thank you for saying that, he continued quietly. And the moment you walked in, I realized I had crossed a line I never wanted to approach. Even if nothing happened, the moment should have never existed. Selina closed her eyes briefly. It broke me. I know, he whispered. And healing you is not my right. It's your choice. Her eyes opened, soft but certain. And right now, I'm choosing to heal beside you. Not for you, not because of you. Beside you. Corvin felt his chest fill with a heavy, quiet gratitude. Selina held his gaze. But healing doesn't mean returning to what we were. It means building something better, he said. Yes, she whispered. They sat there together, the river moving in front of them, their breaths slow, their presence shared. No pressure, no force, no rush, Just two people choosing the next step, with care, with honesty, with steady hands. When Selina stood, Corvin rose with her. "Walk me back," she asked softly. "Always," he said. And they walked, side by side, into a new beginning shaped by truth, not silence. They walked back toward her cousin's place with a soft rhythm between them, the kind that didn't rush and didn't hold back. A quiet understanding carried their steps. Selina held the warm tea close to her chest, sipping slowly as the morning breeze brushed her cheeks. Corvin matched her pace with calm awareness. He didn't try to fill the silence. He didn't reach for her hand. He let her guide the moment, and his presence stayed steady beside her. When they reached the end of the block, Selina paused and looked up at him. Her expression was calmer than he had seen in a long time. "Can we keep walking?" she asked. "Anywhere you want," he said. They crossed the street and moved toward the small park with the winding stone path and tall trees. It was quiet this time of day. Only a few people sitting on benches, a couple jogging, birds settling on branches. Selina slowed when they passed a bench under a tree with wide leaves. "Let's sit here," she said. They sat. Not too close, not far, balanced. She placed the teacup on the bench and rested her hands in her lap. For a moment, she watched a pair of pigeons pecking at the ground near the walkway. Corvin watched her, the gentle lines of her face, the soft movements of her hands, the calm breathing she didn't have weeks ago. She spoke first. "I used to think healing meant forgetting, erasing the moment, replacing it with something sweeter," she said. "But now I'm learning healing is remembering without drowning." He listened, letting every word settle. She continued, "I don't want to erase what happened. I want to understand it, learn from it, hold myself steady through it." Corvin's voice lowered. "And I want to walk beside you through that." "You are," she said quietly. "Your patience shows me that." He looked down at his hands, rubbing one thumb over his palm. "I'm still scared of losing you." Selina turned toward him. "You're not losing me. You already did, and now you're trying to earn a place again." He looked up, eyes warm and honest. "You're right, and I'm not running from that. I'm facing it with you," she said. "Because I see growth, I see effort, I see presence." He swallowed. "I'm grateful you see that." She leaned back against the bench, letting her shoulders relax. "You know what helped me most these past weeks?" "What?" he asked. "I stopped trying to fix everything at once," she said. "I gave myself permission to feel, to rest, to let things move slowly." Corvin nodded. "Slow feels right." "It does," she whispered. He exhaled. "I'm glad we're here." "Me too," she said. They sat for a few quiet minutes, the soft wind brushing leaves above them, the city humming in the distance. Selina glanced at him. "There's something else I want to say." "I'm listening," he replied. "I want emotional closeness," she said, "but not the kind built on apology alone. I want closeness built on understanding, communication, presence." "You'll have that," he said. "I want you to tell me when work pressures you, not shut down, not disappear." "I will," he said. "I want you to open up without feeling weak," she said. "I'll try," he replied. "And I want us to talk through pain before it becomes a wall," she added. "Agreed." Selina held his gaze for a moment longer, then breathed out. "I wasn't sure if we could reach this point." "Neither was I," Corvin said softly. "But I knew I had to show up every day, even if you didn't open the door." "You did," she whispered. "And you met me halfway," he said. She looked down at her hands again, her fingers lightly brushing each other. "A part of me was scared that softness would make me fragile." "But softness isn't weakness," he said. "No," she agreed. "Softness is strength with calm edges, and I want to live like that." He nodded slowly. "And I want to protect that softness, not to damage it." For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Their silence held meaning instead of distance. Selina turned toward him again, closer this time. Not touching, but closer. Her voice lowered. "Yesterday, when I touched your chest, I felt your heartbeat." He swallowed. "I felt yours too." She nodded. And it made me remember why we began, why we held on for so long, why we're still trying, one heartbeat at a time, Corvin said. Yes, she whispered. The breeze moved across their faces. Selina shifted slightly, allowing her shoulder to brush his arm. It was a small touch, a soft touch, but it meant more than any long speech or long apology could ever say. Corvin stayed still, letting her linger in that closeness. After a moment, she pulled back gently and stood. He rose with her. "Walk me home," she said. "With pleasure," he replied. They walked down the path, their steps falling into a quiet rhythm again. When they reached her building, Selina didn't turn away immediately. She stood in front of him, watching his face with a calm, steady expression. "Today felt good," she said. "It did," he agreed. "Thank you for showing up," she said. "Always," he whispered. She reached up and touched his forearm again, slow, warm, intentional. Her fingers lingered for a second longer than yesterday. "I'll see you tomorrow," she said. His breath softened. "Tomorrow?" She walked inside. He stood there until the door closed, letting the moment sink into him. Her steps were no longer running from pain. They were moving towards something new, a healing that felt real, a connection that felt honest, a future that was unfolding with steady hands. One soft moment at a time, Selina woke before sunrise. The room felt still, quiet and warm. For the first time in months, her chest didn't feel tight. She didn't feel the weight of yesterday or the pressure of tomorrow. She felt present. She sat at the edge of the bed and rubbed her palms together, breathing in the soft morning air. A small smile touched her lips before she even realized it. She stood, walked to the window, and pulled the curtain aside. The sky glowed pale blue, the city still half asleep. Her cousin stepped into the living room a few minutes later and found Selina making tea. "You're awake early," she said. "I needed the quiet," Selina replied. "Your heart looks steady." "It is," Selina said softly. "And today feels important." Across the city, Corvin sat in his office with the lights off. Only the window illuminated him with soft morning gold. He had arrived early, unable to sleep. His thoughts weren't heavy. They were clear, focused. He had a card in his hand, something he wrote the night before but wasn't sure he would give her. He read it again, simple words, nothing dramatic. "I want us to grow with honesty, not fear, with presence, not excuses." He slid it into an envelope and placed it in his pocket before leaving his office. At 9:30, Selina sent him a message. "Meet me on West Haven Street, by the bakery." "I'm outside." His heart tightened in a warm way. "I'm on my way," he replied. When he arrived, she was sitting on a bench near the entrance. She wore a simple blue coat, her hair pinned back loosely. She looked calm, grounded, and aware. Corvin approached slowly. "Hi." She looked up at him. "Hi." He sat beside her, leaving a respectful space. She took a slow breath, letting the moment settle. "I wanted to see you today," she said. "I'm glad, but I also wanted to talk," she continued. "Not about the past. About what comes next." Corvin nodded. "I'm listening." Selina rested her hands on her lap. "We've spent the last few weeks rebuilding trust through small things. Walks, talks, quiet moments. But I think we're ready for a different kind of step." "What step?" he asked gently. "A step that defines our direction," she said. "A step where we choose the future with intention, not fear." Corvin stayed still, waiting for her to lead. She said, "I want us to decide how we move forward, together, with clarity." He breathed in slowly. "I want that too." Selina looked down at her hands, then back up at him. "I don't want to rush back into the old version of us. I want us to build a new foundation." "I agree," he said. "Tell me what that foundation looks like for you." "3 things," she said. He waited. "First," she said, "I want consistent communication, not constant, not overwhelming, just steady." "You'll have it," he replied. "Second," she continued, "I want shared time, real time, not rushed dinners, not scattered moments between meetings. You'll have that too, he said. And third, she said softly, I want emotional presence, not perfection, not empty promises, just emotional honesty. Corvin felt the words settle inside him in a deep, grounded way. Selina, I want all of that. Not because I'm trying to fix what happened, but because I'm becoming the man who can give that. She nodded. Good, because I'm choosing this step with intention, not fear. A gentle breeze moved between them. Corvin reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. I wrote something last night. I wasn't sure if I should give it to you, but now, it feels right. She took it carefully. Do you want me to read it now? She asked. If you want. Selina opened the envelope. The card inside had only a few lines. I want us to grow with honesty, not fear. With presence, not excuses. Her chest softened. She closed the card slowly and held it between her hands. This is exactly what I needed to hear, she said. I meant every word, he replied. She folded the card and slid it into her coat pocket. Then she stood. Walk with me, she said. Corvin rose without hesitation. They walked through the street slowly, passing the bakery windows filled with warm bread and pastries. The scent of fresh dough floated in the air. Selina looked ahead with calm determination. Corvin watched her with appreciation, not longing. As they turned the corner, Selina stopped near a quiet alleyway lined with old brick buildings. This spot, she said, is where we took our first photo together. 4 years ago. Corvin chuckled softly. I still have it. You were laughing at something I said. You said I walked like I had an entire story in my mind, she replied. You did, he said, and you still do. Selina leaned against the brick wall, her posture relaxed. Corvin stood in front of her, keeping his distance respectful and steady. I want to ask you something, she said. Ask me anything. Do you understand that rebuilding is not a straight line? That some days will be strong and some days will be slow? Yes, he said, and I'm here for all of it. Good, she said, because today I feel ready for a deeper step. His heartbeat quickened, but he didn't move. He waited. Not physical, she added. Emotional. Tell me, he whispered. Selina looked down, then back up at him. I want to let you into my life again, more than the morning walks and soft moments. I want to let you into my plans, my goals, my thoughts. But I need to know, can you do the same? Can you open that part of yourself? Yes, he said. Not perfectly, not instantly, but fully. Her eyes softened. That's all I needed. She stepped closer, not touching, not reaching, but closing the space in a way that felt deliberate. I'm choosing us, she said quietly. Not blindly, not from old habits, from clarity. Corvin breathed out, his chest easing. I'm choosing you with the same clarity. Selina nodded slowly, feeling the truth of the moment settle between them. Tomorrow, she said softly, I want to spend the day with you. Not as a couple returning to old patterns, as two people building something real. His voice warmed. I'd love that. She smiled gently. Then we'll meet here in the morning. He didn't reach for her. He didn't lean in. He let the moment stand on its own. Selina touched her coat pocket, where the card rested. Then she lifted her gaze to his. This is the first day I feel peace, she said. Corvin's voice lowered. Then it's the first day of our new beginning. She stepped back, walked toward her building, and gave him one last look before entering. Not longing, not hesitation. A look of certainty, a look that meant she was walking towards something, not away from it. And Corvin stood there, letting the truth wash over him. She didn't just forgive. She didn't just return. She chose. Tomorrow would be their next step, their next breath, their next beginning. And for the first time in a long time, the future felt soft, real, and possible. The next morning arrived with a soft glow. Selina stepped outside at exactly 9, wrapped in a light coat, her hair tucked behind her ears. She felt calm, steady, almost weightless. She waited on the same spot where she told him to meet her. A minute later, Corvin turned the corner. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't tense. He walked toward her with quiet confidence, the kind that didn't crowd her space. When their eyes met, she gave a small smile, not wide, not nervous, a warm, grounded smile. "You're early," she said. "So are you," he replied. They began walking without discussing where they were going. The city around them hummed with morning life, but their pace stayed slow, their steps unforced. Selina looked ahead, letting the sunlight warm her face. "I want today to be simple," she said. "I do too," he replied. "Something real," she added. "Not a forced date, not a rushed attempt to fix everything, just us, us," he repeated softly. They walked toward the old market district, a place filled with handmade goods and small cafes. Selina paused at a vendor selling fresh fruit and picked up a small container of sliced apple. "You want some?" she asked. "Yes," he said. Surprised, she offered. They shared the pieces as they walked, passing the container back and forth. Small things like that had once been natural between them. Now they carried new meaning, built on presence. Near the center of the market, they found a quiet corner with a row of benches under a long wooden canopy. Selina chose a bench and sat. Corvin sat beside her, leaving space, but not as much as before. "I've been thinking about us," she said. Corvin turned slightly toward her. "In what way?" "In the way we talk," she said. "The way we used to talk without walls, without fear of saying too much or too little." He listened. She continued, "I want us to learn each other again. Not who we were, who we are now." "I'd like that," he said. Selina rested her hands on her thighs. The morning breeze brushed lightly across her face. "There's something you should know about me," she said. "I'm listening. I'm learning to speak my needs without apologizing for them," she said. "I won't stay quiet to keep peace anymore." "Good," Corvin said. "Your voice should never shrink." She nodded. "And I don't want to be scared of losing you. I want to choose you because your presence feels safe, not because I'm afraid of being alone." "You won't lose me," he said gently. "Not with the man I'm becoming." Selina looked at him, eyes soft but clear. "And you? What about your needs? You've always tried to carry everything on your shoulders. But I want to know who you are when you let someone support you." Corvin lowered his gaze for a moment, not hiding, reflecting. "I'm learning how to be honest about my fears," he said. "Not the ones about work, the ones about you." Selina's voice lowered. "What about me?" He met her eyes. "I was scared of disappointing you, scared of failing you. I thought giving you a comfortable life was enough, but I wasn't giving you presents. I wasn't giving you me. You're giving me you now," she said quietly. He nodded. "It feels right." She let the silence sit for a moment, letting his honesty settle. Then she shifted a little closer. It wasn't bold. It wasn't dramatic. It was steady, as if her body naturally moved toward the place that felt safe. "Corvin," she said softly, "there's something I want for us. Tell me." "I want emotional intimacy," she said. "Not the kind tied to touch, the kind tied to truth, the kind where we share thoughts we once held back. I want that too," he said. Selina breathed in slowly. "So today, I want us to talk about the kind of future we're building." He exhaled softly. "Yes, let's do that." She folded her legs under the bench and turned toward him fully. "I want partnership," she said. "I want a home where silence doesn't feel cold. I want conversations that go deeper than schedules and meetings." "You'll have that," he said. "I want balance," she continued. "I don't want you losing yourself in work again. I want us to build routines that hold us together instead of pulling us apart." "I understand," he said. "And I'm already making changes. My schedule, my boundaries, my focus." Selina looked at him with a warm expression. "I see that. I feel that." He relaxed slightly. The tension in his shoulders softened. She continued, "I want small things too, simple evenings, morning tea, walks where you're present with me. Moments where affection isn't rushed." "It won't be rushed," he said. "Not again." Selina nodded, letting that promise sit between them. "And you?" she asked. "What do you want?" Corvin took time before answering. Not because he didn't know, but because he didn't want to speak without meaning it. "I want connection," he said. "Real connection. The kind we had before everything got heavy. The kind we're starting to rebuild." Selena's lips curved softly. "I want to give you comfort," he said, "without taking your peace. I want to love you in a quiet, steady way, not in the rushed, distracted way I once did." She looked down, touched by the softness in his tone. "And most of all," he said, "I want a future where we don't walk alone, where we walk beside each other, a future that feels lived, not postponed." Selena lifted her gaze. "That's the same future I want." The air between them warmed, not from heat, but from truth. Selena reached into the small fruit container and held out another piece of apple. He leaned forward and took it gently from her hand. Their fingers brushed, a soft, intentional touch. Selena felt something shift inside her, not a rush of emotion, not a longing for instant closeness, but a quiet certainty. They were moving the right way. After a moment she said, "Let's keep walking." Corvin stood first and offered his hand, not pulling, not insisting, simply offering. She looked at it for a second, then she placed her hand in his. Warm, sure, steady. They walked through the market together, hand in hand, moving toward a future shaped by clarity, not fear. One honest moment at a time. Before you go, take a moment to share your thoughts. Have you ever tried to rebuild something that almost broke you? Your story may help someone who is watching this right now. If this video touched your heart, like it, and share it with someone who needs strength today. Drop a comment about the moment that stayed with you. I read every message, and your voice means something here. Subscribe to Mr. Charles Stories for more life lessons, more healing, and more powerful stories that speak to your heart. Thank you for watching.